Let's go on to Jeffrey Epstein. And there's been some, the way the Trump administration has handled this from day one has been clownish. We had the original release of the Epstein files to a bunch of influencers, even though there was no new information in there. And in fact, there was publicly available information that was redacted in the so-called Epstein files. The release of that was certainly a botched one. But more recently, the appearance of Kash Patel, the FBI director, on Joe Rogan's podcast has just been nothing short of insane, because Kash Patel, now that he is the FBI director, is directly contradicting many of the things that he himself said only just 2 years ago about the circumstances of the Jeffrey Epstein case. This surrounds multiple things, okay? So number one starts with Jeffrey Epstein himself and the so-called suicide, where we were told a couple of things. We were told the camera was off. We were told as well that there's reams of information and hours of footage that was seized by the FBI in the initial raid of the Epstein mansion that has been held by the FBI, the infamous Black Book, and so many of this other stuff the FBI had and had not yet been released to the public. And yet now we are told by Kash Patel a couple of things. They say that the camera allegedly was on this whole time. By the way, we were not told that. That's actually the opposite of the original story for the way this so-called suicide went down. We're told by the top levels of the FBI that actually Epstein did kill himself after all. They're 100% certain. They can't release the whole file to us because we're not allowed to know as the public. And we're also not going to see any of the footage that was seized by the FBI because, quote, they don't want to re-victimize women. So let's take a listen to 2023 Kash Patel and today's Kash Patel.
Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list? And why is it that the Senate, and good for Senator Blackburn to try to get it out, but then Dick Durbin comes over the top and says, no, we're not going to release the names. I don't care about the list itself, but if you release the names, right?
And I've said it, Dan Bongino said it, we've reviewed all the information and the American public is going to get as much as we can release. He killed himself. Do you think, let's play out the logical conclusion of this. Do you think that myself, Bongino, and others would participate in hiding information about Epstein's grotesque activities? Or do you think we would also participate in not prosecuting people we had evidence to prosecute people on? Where's the videotape of an Epstein Island of X, Y, and Z committing these frauds? Why haven't you given it to us? Do you really think I wouldn't give that to you if it existed?
No. It's like, I think you would participate in a cover-up if you're the top level of the FBI and subject to a massive blackmail machine at the top of an international intelligence apparatus? Yeah, I do think that. And in fact, because all of history vindicates that, looking at literally the history of the FBI. But broadly, we can just compare all of the same things that they said to what they're now saying. The craziest thing he's saying is that we were not going to re-victimize women. And I would understand if we were saying that in 2006. Now we have what? We have technology to be able to, listen, murder and other images which are ghastly and devastating are released to the public all the time. They redact images, for example, of like actual victims, right. But very often, especially in fact in cases like this, they will make sure to protect the child, underage women, or the victim's identity while at the same time releasing footage of the perpetrators. Remember, we still to this date do not have an accurate accounting of the island, of the files, and everything that went on inside of that mansion, so-called hidden cameras. And I know all of this, quote, sounds crazy, but this is documented fact at this point. So here we have Kash Patel saying he won't re-victimize women, but most importantly, saying that the cameras were on in the Epstein prison. Again, that is a direct lie then told previously by the Bureau of Prisons and by the Trump administration the initial time around itself. Right. Let's take a listen.
What about the video from the island?
Oh, sorry. So you're talking about two different things.
Yes.
So again, we're going to give you everything we can. And people have to remember, we're not going to re-victimize women. We're not going to put that shit back out there. It's not happening because then he wins. Not doing it. You want to hate me for it? Fine. Again, logical play out. If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
If you have access to it.
If I have it, period.
Right.
If I have it.
So
Where else would it be?
Right. If you have it.
Right.
But you can't say that you have it
No, we're giving you everything we have.
so far.
Everything we have so far is
Have
the
you
universe.
guys gone over all the video that's available?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's what takes so much damn time. But the problem is there's been like 15 years of people coming in and creating fictions about this that doesn't exist. Where's the videotape of an Epstein Island of X, Y, and Z committing these frauds? Why haven't you given it to us? Do you really think I wouldn't give that to you if it existed? I'm working my ass off along with the leadership at the Bureau and DOJ to get you what we're allowed to give you. And you're going to get the video of the cell and you're going to see for yourself. And we will never be able to convince everyone.
What? You know, it's like, don't you think I would give that to you? No, actually, because you're
We're
not.
gonna get the video. We're gonna see for ourselves.
He said the camera was on. That's literally not what we were told. He said the camera was off and the guards were sleeping. And like, oh yeah, okay.
I think
for sure.
Pam Bondi in this administration said that, didn't she? There
Well,
was some-
she said that they had been reviewing hours of video. We may even have that. I'm not sure. No, we don't have it today. But she previously had said that we are reviewing thousands of hours of video, and now they're like, well, actually, we can't release any of that video to the public.
And also, there's not the video you want. And
Right.
also, we have definitive proof, even though we didn't before.
Look, there's an easy way to solve all of this. Release it all to the public, okay? You can easily release all of this to the American public. We will make up our minds for ourselves. And you can do that while being sensitive to the victims. I also would honestly like to have a poll and a survey of all the Epstein victims and ask them, hey, is it okay for us to be able to see this while we do all the sensitive work of making sure we redact you and privately and keep your privacy? I guarantee you these people would be willing to have it out in the public because they were horribly victimized and they want their, the people who took advantage of them to be held accountable to the public. And this also is where the Elon, tie-in comes, where Elon claimed that it was, that Trump himself was implicated in the Epstein files, and that's part of the reason why that Trump has not released them yet to date. So pretty extraordinary accusation.
And before we play what Trump has, because
Yeah.
every time Trump gets asked about this, he gets real squirrely.
Right.
Going back to his first administration when he got asked about Ghislaine Maxwell,
I was
he
going to
says,
say, the infamous, I wish her well.
I wish her well. Epstein said that Trump was his bestie for 10 years. Whether that is fully accurate or not, we know they were friends. We have video and pictures of them together. We know Trump was on the plane 7 times according to the flight logs. We know Trump in an interview was like, yeah, he likes him young. So 100% Trump is quote unquote in the Epstein files. What all that entails is another matter. But yeah, I mean, this is why it's always been so funny. The right had a deep interest in this. I think there's good reason to have a deep interest in it, especially in particular how it ties into all of these wealthy and powerful people and potential, Israeli Mossad activities as well.
No, we haven't even touched on that.
Yeah, and that's the other reason why very likely the government doesn't want to release everything that's available, because then it will be abundantly clear that he, was an intelligence asset, maybe potentially for the lawyers, whatever. But you've got those two things. You've got this very pro-Israel administration. You have a guy who spent years entangled with this man, and you think you're going to get all the goods on him, even though repeatedly when Trump gets asked about this, he dodges. And so let's go ahead and play this video of him getting asked on Fox News. And this was crazy too. So Fox News, in the run-up to the election, they asked him what about UFOs? What about JFK? And he's like, yes, release it. Yes, release it. And they're like, what about Epstein? And he's like, yeah, well... And they edited it originally to cut out all the rest of the I probably actually won't do that and there's some problems, et cetera, to make it sound like he just was like, yes, we're going to release it. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the unedited version of what he actually said in that Fox News interview.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you,
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
So a lot different than just an affirmative yes. And he always, every time he gets asked about it, it's something similar of I'm worried about their privacy and people are involved, et cetera. Yeah, people are involved.
I mean, look, no matter who is president, at this point, we all genuinely do deserve to know. I mean, I think I actually genuinely believe that it's not Trump which is holding all of this up. I think it's Israel. I think it's Mossad. I think it's very obvious considering the original comments by Alex Acosta and by the initial prosecutors, quote, intelligence was involved. I mean, this is a direct quote. You can go and read it for yourself if you want to, back from 2019. I think that's the only reason that we don't know. In a sense, we don't even, like without the files, we know everything that we need to know. Israeli agent, we're gathering intelligence on all of the highest levels of American society. For what purpose? You can only guess. And that's another thing. People are like, well, how did they use this information? I don't think people understand how intelligence gathering works. The whole point is that you gather it so that you may have to use it in the future, in case you need to. Ehud Barak, the prime minister of Israel, literally spending multiple nights a week at his mansion, okay? These are documented facts. Like using his money to invest with all of the world's billionaires, from Peter Thiel, which has been more recently revealed, to Leon Black at the Apollo. I'm not even worried about people suing me. This is fact. Like Leon Black literally had to resign from his company. One of the most private or one of the most powerful billionaires in the world had to resign from his company because of his, what was it, $200 million payment via his private jet LLC that was being paid to Jeffrey Epstein. Over $150 million. Yeah, definitely for jet maintenance. I'm sure that's what it was all about. Bill Gates and the Nobel Prize. I mean, this is obvious.
Yeah, and the Peter Thiel piece is the new
it's
piece
a brand
that
new.
He had a lot of money in.
That he had a bunch of money, I think, in one of his funds. It's apparently now yielding incredible results to the Jeffrey Epstein estate. The point is just that the money was a tool. Obviously, Leslie Wexner, who I think is still alive to this day, who just miraculously gifted him all this money for no apparent reason or any of that whatsoever. This is obvious. And like, I know it sounds like Eyes Wide Shut, but it's all real. Like, this is documented. It exists. President or Bill Clinton on the plane multiple times. RFK Jr. by his own admission on the plane a couple of times. I mean, that's the part I don't get either. When you're filthy rich, why are we accepting gifts like this from, questionable people? When you have the money, just fly yourself. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I'm just a YouTube host. I don't want to accept free
always
flights.
wanted to ignore his ties and how closely linked he was with Epstein and all the documentary evidence, and then think that he was going to be the one that finally, between how pro-Israel he is and his own linkages. Like, I never thought we were going to see any of this. And it's just wild to see Kash out there like, well, it's just not there. And we've determined conclusively he definitely killed himself. But we can't, we're not going to show you. And now the cameras are on, whatever. It's a wild situation. The last piece here is Elon has now deleted his posts accusing Trump of being in the Epstein files. And there were some other things that he had posted where he was saying, I will fully apologize to Trump once he fully releases the Epstein files. I think he also deleted those ones too, although double check me on that. I'm not 100% sure. But, I don't even understand this behavior. Like, once it's out there, it's out there. It's not like anyone's gonna forget that he posted this. It's this sort of like childlike, like, oh, if I delete it now, I can take it back, which you can't really take that back. But I don't know what's going on with Elon's also out tweeting a bunch about what's going on in LA in a way that's like very favorable for Trump and for MAGA and, supporting the National Guard being brought in and whatever. So I don't know if he's trying to mend fences. I don't know if that's possible at this point because I don't think you can really come back fully from what has been said and done at this point. But it is interesting to me as well that, we'll talk about this in the Theo Von segment. Apparently Trump advised J.D. Vance to be diplomatic when it comes to Elon.
I found that very odd.
Very weird. I mean, not the way that Trump typically behaves. Like, normally, once you cross him, that's it. Scorched earth, right? I expected him to have some story equivalent to remember the whole story he'd tell about, like, DeSantis coming, tears in his eyes.
Tears in his eyes.
Begging me. I thought we'd have something like that and some, like, elaborate display of humiliation. He's been pretty low-key. Maybe it's because he does hold all the power, and can punish him in all of these various ways. But it's just interesting to me how differently he's responded than what you would normally expect from Trump, where Elon has gone fully nuclear and Trump has been like kind of conciliatory, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. There's some weird stuff that is going on. All right, should we talk about Kilmar?
Yeah.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.